Okay, so for this last part, I felt like it was just easiest if I did a voiceover because it got to be a little bit long. So here we go. I decided to do the axolotl with my Neocolor 2s, and I am going in with the darkest color to work on the areas that I wanted some shading on this little axolotl. Puss is what I've named it. But I believe that I either used Prussian blue or indigo blue. I'm not quite sure, but those would be the two that I would have selected. And then after I've kind of set where I want some of the shading to be, I'm going in where I want some of the highlight to be. So the exact opposite spaces of where I want the shading is the highlight. And then from there, you'll see me use the rest of the blues and the purples to build up in between. So I'll just kind of go back and forth. Like right now I'm going around the highlight with the light blues, and I'm just going to keep building those colors until I get all the way to that shadow. Now, I am doing a first layer. One thing I have learned from using Neocolor 2s is that I rarely, if ever, can get away with one layer of Neocolors. It usually takes 2 to 3. And in this particular video, you'll see me do actually 2 layers of coloring on the Neocolor 2s, and then a layer of taking the pigment from the crayon on the paintbrush to the paper, kind of as my third layer of the Neocolors. So yeah, so I am just kind of building up those colors, and I am just continuing to look at where I want the darker colors and the shading and where I want the lighter colors. I'm also trying to figure out how I want to kind of round out the axolotl so it has a little bit more shape to it. And you see me kind of playing with some of that drawing in. Now I have my water brush, and I am activating the first layer of Neocolor 2s. So I'm going from light to dark as much as possible, but I am cleaning off my brush after I kind of get to those dark colors to make sure that I'm not blending them into those lighter colors and keeping my brush clean. So I know when I was activating this, I could already tell that I would need to go on with another layer. I think it's really easy when you first start using Neocolor 2s to maybe be a little underwhelmed or even a little frustrated with, once you activate it, it not being exactly how you had hoped it would be. And I just have to suggest, trust the process. Let it dry, because I've made the mistake of not letting it dry as well and trying to go on top, and that does not work. Let it dry, go do something else, come back, do another layer, and you will be pleasantly surprised at how that works. The other great thing is I feel like these crayons are so pigmented that even if you get it off a little bit with like the colors that you want, you really can play with them and get it to be something that you want to, so that it works in the way that you want it to. Maybe with the next layer, you'll see as I go in with my second layer, I add a lot more shadowing. Once I activated these colors, I realized I didn't have those shades, those darker shades that I wanted in some of the areas, and so I went back on top and added more. And that's what you see me doing here. So you'll see me using more of those darker colors, and also where some of the highlight colors are, I realize that there's too much, and I go back on top of those and kind of make those a little bit smaller and so forth. But it's really just about playing, and I love Camilla's books. I say this all the time. I'm sorry if you hear me say it all the time, but she just gives me the freedom to play. She gives me the freedom in her illustrations to try new things, to not be afraid. I never feel like I'm going to mess up a page of hers because it's just so inviting to be creative. I just think that her creativity as an artist kind of oozes from her pages and invites you to do the same. And so I love that. And it's just freeing to just get your supplies out and say, let's go. Let's see what happens. But yeah, I'm darkening up a lot of those tentacles there. I want just there to be a richer, more contrast. As Maya always says, don't be afraid of the dark, add more dark. I'm trying to do that more in my coloring. So here I kind of want to round this side out too. I was really trying to figure out how to make this body that looked a little bit flat on the page look a little bit more three-dimensional. And so I just kind of kept playing with the colors to do that. And I'm just continuing to go back and forth. And as I'm doing this in slow time, I'm just really kind of looking at the whole picture until I get it to where I want it to. Grabbing my water brush again and activating, starting at some of those shaded parts and then building out, always wiping off on my paper towel there just to make sure that that pigment doesn't move into those lighter colors. So at this point, I decide that I just need a little bit more dark on the belly of the axolotl. So I add some extra lines, and now I'm going into the mouth. So I'm really deepening it up as it goes back into the mouth, and lighter as at the front, but just to also have those teeth kind of pop out. And then just continuing to work on the axolotl from now the crayon. So you can see I'm kind of going back and forth. You can't really see my crayon there, and I'm sorry, but going back and forth where I'm taking the pigment off the Neo color and then applying it. This just gives me a little bit more pigment in the areas that I want it. And I just have found that to be helpful on the second or third layer. Some people start this way, and that's the joy of playing with your supplies. Find out what works for you. Right there, I was just putting some of the lighter color pigment on those tentacles, and I just kind of rubbed it out with my finger. I just wanted to have like a smushy look to it, to be like a little highlight, not so much of a like paintbrush. And now I'm going into, I believe these are called gill stalks for the axolotl. And these little feathery like gills here. And I decided to go in with purple. And so I have a couple different colors of the Neo colors that I did, a lighter and then a darker at the base. And I'm just activating those from the light down. And then as I get to the darker color, I'm pulling it up a little bit. And now I'm getting out some guana acrylic markers, testing out some of the purples. And I'm going to use these for the little suckers that are on the tentacles there. So you'll see me first go in with the lighter color purple, and I'm just filling in the entire shape with that color. And now I am going around each of those with the darker purple. So I'm creating some depth. And then the final step will be the darkest purple will be just a little bit of a dot or a little bit of just a center in each of those. So I just have more of a three-dimensional look. Now I am using my Graby glitter gel pen to go around that entire axolotl just to kind of give it a finished touch around the outside. And at this point I had done a little bit of gel pen on the ink blobs around the axolotl, but you'll see in a little bit I decided to do something different. So here I am using a Languo acrylic gel pen, and I am outlining or going over all of the lines on the little gill stalks. This is a purple, and you'll see that I have a little bit of like tacky putty that I put at the end. That just helps the flow of the Languos. Sometimes I feel like they don't flow very well, but I learned that trick from someone on YouTube. I can't remember who it was, but it is a great trick and it does work, and I use it often. Next, I'm taking a guana acrylic gel pen, and I'm just going over some of those little spikes that were already there, but then adding some more. And it's a light blue color. And now I'm using my Prismas to just create some of the depth with the darker shades around the left side and kind of hitting where that shadow would be. And then doing the same on the head. So going in with the acrylic marker, adding the little horns and nubs and so forth, and then adding the colored pencil as some shading, and then just a little bit of a highlight with the white acrylic. Next, I used my Ho2 Gold for the little spikes on the axolotl's head, and now you see me working on the bubbles. So I'm just trying to create a little bit of a shading and depth on those bubbles, using the colors that they already are, and then adding the white acrylic in the middle for the highlight. And now you see me with my gold Ho2 marker again, and I'm going around the ink blobs that I made on the first day. So those blobs that I used the watercolors for, not necessarily where I added the metallic. I wanted those to kind of pool out. So I just wanted the ink blob borders to be where I thought the watercolors were, and this was just kind of based on my eye and where I think that they look like they were. But I really love how this turned out and just kind of pulled these ink blobs all together and added a finishing touch to the background. Now I decide that I'm going to shade these little spiky things on the axolotl's head. Looking for some more colors. And in a little bit, I decide I don't like that. And I go back on top with the Ho2 Gold. So just a good reminder of sometimes we try things and it doesn't work out. Here I'm taking some darker shades, I believe it's even black, and kind of really going behind those teeth just to deepen that shadow. And now I am working on shading the teeth a little bit with some grays and giving them some depth as well. And now I'm going to go in with my cream and my white and just finish off the teeth on the axolotl. Now you can see me getting back into the crayon there for a minute. I must have missed a highlight, but now I have my Sakura white jelly pen, and I decide that I need 1,000,000 white dots on my page, and I need to outline the bubbles. So that is what I am doing right now. And then comes the glitterific. So that is just a piece of palette paper that I just tore off a corner because I didn't need to use a whole piece. And I put some glitterific on the palette paper and then used my finger to add that to the bubbles. I find that the application of the glitterific, since it has so much glitter in it, actually works better if I can just use my finger versus a paintbrush on things like this. And here is where I'm going to add 1.5 million white dots. So I use some small dots, I have some medium size, and then a few little bigger dots. And I also add a few little stars throughout, but I just felt like it needed a lot more white dots and went to town. And now I'm working on the axolotl's eyes. I decided that I would just completely cover up the eyes that Camilla had drawn and fill them in with black, and then kind of make my own axolotl eye. And so I just colored it all in with the black Prismacolor, and then added the white dots with an acrylic pen, filling in the little claws at the end with some gold Ho2. And then using my 3D gel to go on top of those eyes just to make them a little bit more three-dimensional. And there you have it, my final page completed of my Axolotlpus in my Camilla d'Errico book. So I had so much fun. In true Ashley form, when I got done filming and I was looking at my book, I decided that I needed some more spots on the tentacles. And so I did the same technique that I used on the back and the head, and added some spots with acrylic paint pen, and then shadowed with my Prismacolors, and then just a little bit of white acrylic on top for the highlight. So that's the only addition, I think. One thing I don't know I think I did it just kind of quickly in the video, but I did end up adding a little bit of the lime green and chartreuse coloring in these little gill stalks on the axolotl, so that I had pulled in all of the colors from the background. And I also think I called this something different, but it was the triple thick that I used on the axolotl's eyes. So I think if I move it here for you, you should kind of be able to see that they are just a little bit of a 3D effect, which is fun. But I so enjoyed this page. I loved buddying with Allie. It was just a joy as always. If you enjoyed this video, I'd love to hear your feedback. How did you like the 3 video series? Would you rather it all be in one? Did you like them separated out? How was the speed for this video? Was it too fast? Do you like it kind of sped up so that it doesn't take you as long to watch? Let me know in the comments. But I am so grateful for all of you being here and being a part of my journey. Thank you for inspiring me and giving me the space and creative freedom just to try new things and be brave and bold in those endeavors. And I truly appreciate each and every single one of you. But I am sending you all my love and sunshine. Bye for now.